But let's talk to Baroness Diane Hayter, former Shadow Deputy Leader of the House of Lords from 2017 to 2021. There was a protest yesterday in the House of Lords. I mean, I guess you know when it's summer, don't you? You know when the Easter holidays are looming because all these nutters decide to go out and start protesting. Let's have a look at the protest first of all, shall we? And then they throw some paper. Not particularly exciting, really, is it? I'm not sure what was going on there, but Baroness Diane, very good morning to you.
I'm sorry.
Good morning to you too.
I mean, I suppose the main question would be, how did you get inside the parliamentary estate? Because you have to go through, I thought, because I've been through it myself, security, and you have to go through a security arch. I suppose they haven't got anything dangerous with them, but we should be able to spot these nutters, shouldn't we?
Well, they were just ordinary people and had pieces of paper. I mean, all they threw down were pieces of paper. And I'm sure you as a journalist will often have had paper with you when you went to meetings. So it's slightly hard to take paper off everyone.
Yeah, it is. But should they not be a bit better at the sort of looking at people and seeing that they may be likely to do something like this?
Well, they look quite normal. I've seen the pictures of them. I mean, they they don't. You can't stop everyone going. They were just youngish people and didn't look worrying. I wouldn't overreact to this. This happens every 20 years or something where there's a disruption, and I'm slightly worried if we think we're going to sort of take everybody's handbags and everything off them just because 3 people have managed to get in there once. I wouldn't overplay it.
Well, yeah, but in that case, if you
my advice.
Well, you would say you wouldn't want a security arch either, then, would you? You just let people just wander in, because I think they've got a shield, haven't they, in the House of Commons, because somebody once chucked. Oh, was it not something that chucked something? John Prescott, I think it was. It was Tony Blair, a bit of flour or something like that, which could have been something much more dangerous. It could be a powder which doesn't look like anything, but might be, poison.
Yeah, but get in now. We do have to go through metal detectors now, which detect more than just metal. This was just paper. That's the issue, and I think taking paper off people will always be difficult. As I say, I wouldn't want us to overreact to this. Interestingly, the House just adjourned for 5 minutes and carried on its work in a very British tradition, I have to say.
No, true, very true. And I'm not against people being able to demonstrate. I just think that it's so tedious that these people want to, I mean, what's the bloody point of it? Lords out. I mean, it's the House of Lords. Why are you going to have Lords out? If you want to demonstrate outside, fine. Have a massive demonstration outside and say the House of Lords is, old-fashioned, ridiculously antiquated and of no use to man or beast. But, what they've done here doesn't appear, to me anyway, to have been much ado about anything, really.
No, and they've got very little coverage, and it really doesn't matter. I mean, the interesting thing is how little they understand the House of Lords. They said ordinary people to be there. Well, of course, we have the House of Commons where anyone can stand. And what's interesting, well, I think particularly to you, if I may say so, is the person who was in the chair at the time, who looked very calm, who just sort of adjourned the House for 5 minutes. Of course, is a former broadcaster and journalist. Yeah. And I think one of the lovely things about the House of Lords is that we're not the same as the House of Commons. We have a very wide range of people who've got expertise and experience across this extraordinary. I mean, he happened to be a journalist. We've got ballerinas there. We've got social workers, accountants, consumers, got some top scientists and doctors and teachers and musicians. And what is clear is that maybe we need to explain more what we do, is that we are a house made up of a different sort of people than are in the House of Commons, that we come from a wider range of backgrounds. Than politicians.
No, I think that's a good thing. I would say I think there's probably a few too many people in the House of Lords now, because somehow it's been allowed to balloon up to more people really than are in the House of Commons. I think it's more, sort of over 800 now. So
and everybody in the House of Lords agrees with that. Yeah. Unfortunately, we had a committee that agreed absolutely that, and we asked the Prime Minister at the time to stop appointing, so that you had to have 2 people leaving for everyone you wanted to appoint in. And then Prime Minister Mrs May, was very good about that. Unfortunately, Boris Johnson absolutely filled the House with another 100 plus. Yeah. So we are very keen, along with you, to have a much smaller House of people who can get on with the work that we
Well,
do.
the Lib Dems and Labour have filled it quite well as well. I mean, Keir Starmer apparently wants to abolish it, or at least he used to, and instead of abolishing it, he's now put a load more people in it.
Well, he's put some in because, you know, the Conservatives now have 100 more peers than Labour do, and this is really not sensible, because we did win the election, you know, and therefore having the opposition in the House of Lords being able to outvote the government by 100 is
Well,
not
surely
democratic.
that's the point, isn't it?
And obviously,
but isn't that the point of the democracy?
no, it should be a balance.
Well, yeah, but isn't that the point of
view
democracy of the two chambers, though? You get the government on the one hand with a massive majority in the Commons, and if it turns out that you've got a majority of Conservatives in the House of Lords, I'm not sure is a majority overall, by the way, because there's a lot of Lib Dems. Surely that's right, isn't it?
No, our view is that the interesting thing is to more or less have a balance between the government and the opposition, and therefore your crossbenchers, which are the interesting people, to me, they are the people like we saw in the chair today, all the people who've come not from a political background but have made their way in a different profession, and we call them the crossbenchers.
Right.
And they will only vote if they are persuaded by the argument. They don't follow a
when
whip.
the Tories were in, when the Tories were in government, though, Baroness Diane, they were often thwarted in the Lords by people voting against everything that they wanted to do. So, you know, that was what they had to put up with.
Labour, but not by Labour by itself. We
well,
always
no,
had
but
to have
my
the
point is
crossbenchers.
but my
That's
point
the
is
interesting bit.
yeah, but my point is that that's what they had to put up with. So why shouldn't the Labour government have to put up with the same thing?
Because we were a balanced number, and because of what Boris Johnson did, there is no overall balance between the two major parties.
Well,
that's the difficulty. But we're with you. We want a smaller house.
Yes.
We want, you know, a much more politically balanced house with the interesting third group, you know, approaching legislation not on the whip, not because of their political background, but a judgment about whether the government is doing the right thing or not.
Yes. Okay. And the government certainly isn't doing the right thing at the moment, but we'll come back to that. Baroness Diane Hayter, thank you very much indeed.